Hello. Knock, knock. Who is there? I can't see you. Yes, I can see one person, and I'm sure others are going to be joining very soon. Yeah, we are live. Good to see you. Good to know that you are always here supporting and trying to learn about life, get awareness about issues of life, career, um jobs, different things, life happening to people, different things we do on this program. The last one was about ASU. So today we have a very I'm not sure what word to use, but most of us would not like to talk about. We just sometimes we say just let the sleeping dogs lie. Well, these are things that we need to face head on and know how to deal with them when they come. So nobody is excluded from it. Unfortunately, we are, as long as you have a blood flowing in your veins, you need to listen to this. So feel free to share, invite people to listen, because we have a very important guest with us who will be telling us about her experience. So thank you always for coming on here, for liking, for sharing, commenting, for subscribing, to learn more about what we have for you every time. So thank you very much. Now, without further ado, because I know been I've kept my guest waiting. She's so busy. Her hands are full, but she still found time out of no time to be here with us. I am so grateful. And I will invite to the screen Mrs. Kemi Olatunbosun Banjo Ni Bangoye. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much for finding time out of no time to be here with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So, you know, like I said, it's something people would not want to talk about. Well, here you go. You've been through it and you have come out of it stronger, and you're here to share with us your experience and get us aware of what we need to know and what we need to do. So, may I ask you to actually introduce yourself firstly?
Okay, like you said, my name is Kemi Olatunbosun Banjo. I go for short as Kemi Banjo. That's what most people call me. I live in Windsor, Ontario, and I have three boys, lovely boys. My eldest son is 16, the second is 14, and the third is 10-year-old. They are my world. So that's just me for short. And I work with Royal Bank in Canada here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can see you're a working mom and you've got so much going on. And I'm glad you are also, outside the country, well, I wouldn't say outside the country, you're in your country because that's your country. You're outside Nigeria, you're outside Africa. So thank you very much for finding time, because we know how busy it is out there when you're outside the country. So, my first question actually to you. Thank you very much for introducing yourself. My first question is, how did you feel when well, before I ask, actually this whole show, this whole program for today, the series is dedicated to Mr. Olatumosu Banjo. We are glad for the life he lived, for the impact he made while he was here on Earth, and we are dedicating this series to him. I'm sure he'll be looking from where he is and smiling. Oh, my baby's gone so well. So I'm sure he will be smiling wherever he is. So we're dedicating this program to him. Thank God for the memories you shared. So that takes me to the first question about how did you feel when you lost your partner?
Um, Funny enough, I was still talking with a friend this morning on my way, just before I left Toronto. I was out of town yesterday and I just came back a few hours ago. And my friend was asking this same question that you have just asked. Just getting the news. Okay, on the day it happened, I was on my way to work and I realized one or two people were trying to get hold of me for me to stay at home and not go to work. And I was wondering, like, this is time to work, we'll talk later. So I ended up going to the office. And as soon as I stepped into my office, my manager, my assistant branch manager, called me into an office. Uh, Prior to that time, when I woke up that Wednesday morning, and I did not hear from my husband the day before, which was on a Tuesday, August 12th, 2019. I was wondering because we speak several times a day, so many times, almost as if we are the same location, except that we don't touch physically. So I was wondering why I didn't hear from him for a whole day. That was very much unusual. For instance, let's say is upset about something, he would still call to speak with the children. He would even still talk to me. He doesn't hold grudges. Even if he's upset, it's just one day. He does not sleep over it. The next morning, it seems like he doesn't remember that anymore. And that I noticed even while we were dating. So that day, I called his cousin in the UK because Bosun had traveled on Sunday to the UK, and we spoke on Monday. But on Tuesday, I didn't hear from him throughout. And on Wednesday morning, when I woke up around 6 a.m., I called his cousin in the UK and told him I haven't heard from Bosun throughout yesterday. Did he hear from him? And because he was in the UK and they're very close friends, he's an older cousin though, but they are very close. They were very close. So he told me, "Oh, um, we spoke on Sunday. I'm going to try and get hold of him, and then he will call you." Apparently, it had happened. It was the one that got the information first among family. It was the one that went to the location to attend to the situation. But he didn't want to tell me right away. They were already trying to find somebody in Windsor here to come over to speak with me. So when I got to the office and I was called into an office there, my manager said there was someone they were expecting, and everything just seemed unusual. And the look on their faces was wasn't okay. It didn't look like a work related thing unless they were going to ask me to go, and that didn't seem like a setting they would have if they were going to ask me to go. Anyway, I sat down and I realized something had really happened. I asked them, "How is my mom, my dad?" They couldn't speak. They said somebody was coming over. And then the next thing I said was my husband. I said, Boso. And then I called my dad. I said, "Dad, when did you speak with Bosolas? Did you hear from him?" Apparently, nobody had heard from him. And my call puts them into panic. Then I called my immediate elder brother. As soon as my dad said, "Bosun, what?" I was like, "What? Please just drop this call." And then I called my brother, and my brother also was like, "What's going on? Why am I asking him? Because they should be the one asking me about my husband, not the other way around." But I was just like in panic mode, and I was like, "What's going on? What happened?" Just the same feeling I had when he had an accident several years ago. I think that was in 2006. I was pregnant with my first son then, and he had an accident in Lagos after dropping me off for a training. I was with UBA then. So that same kind of setting. And I began to call and panic. And I was like, "Where's this person?" I went under the table and I was so afraid and I was screaming and yelling. I didn't even care it was an office. So I would say when I got the even before I was told, and it, everything was looking like that, and the people were looking so sad and they were feeling, just looking at me the way I was acting out. And they were all looking at me. I knew something had happened. At that moment, all I could wish for was, okay, maybe it's just an accident. Maybe something just went wrong. I just hope life is still there, Like maybe they're just going to tell me he had an accident or he's sick or this or that. But I was just holding on to the fact that I hope his life is still there. But at the end of the day, the pastor did come over, and we went to the lunch room and they told me right in my office there. But even before the news came, I knew. And he told me my husband passed away yesterday and all that. In his room in UK. He was staying in a Airbnb place, and normally he's an early morning person. He wakes up like 4, 5. And the people there realized he had stayed there before. They realized he didn't come out, and they were worried and all that. So they had to call the police because they couldn't open his door without him, without informing someone. And that was it. So I would say panic was what I felt initially. I couldn't comprehend it, but even after that initial panic, it had not settled in. And then I began to feel, I don't think this is true. This cannot be true. So I didn't feel like that. I just, the thought would come, oh, and then the thought would come, no, it can't be. So I kept doubting and I didn't want to believe it. So eventually I did have to come home to tell my kids. So I was brought home, and that was a tough one because just thinking about myself alone was okay. But when I thought about, oh my God, what are my kids going to do? How are they going to handle this? That was the problem. But I eventually came home with the support of friends and people. And I sat all of them down. They were right around beside me, sitting right next to me. And I held their hands and I told them, I'm not sure they've lost anyone. Maybe, oh, they did. My younger brother passed away a year before. And I told them, this is what happened. But that's not so easy for them to believe that their own father passed away, for boys especially, who need their father so much. So it was really a big deal for them. It was really a big deal. We did cry together. And the next thing would be how to begin to, for us to even believe. In my mind, I just thought, maybe when I see him, now I guess it began to feel a bit more real when I saw him. Before I saw him, as preparing for the funeral, asking me questions and all of that. I'm like, why are they even asking me all these questions? Because those questions kind of was making it more real and real every hour and every day until we got to Nigeria.
Yeah.
They all went to Nigeria to see him. And that, because we needed that closure, I wanted them to see him for that last time. So,
Oh, so you were bold enough to make them see him.
it was
Wow.
necessary. I didn't want them to keep thinking about it. Maybe how was it? I really
Yeah.
wanted them to have the chance to say goodbye.
Oh, that's a bold step. That's a bold step. Yeah, I can feel the pain, it's real. It's real. Like I'm glad you pulled through. Well, you're pulling through. You're pulling through. I know as a woman of faith, it will be, yeah, I know your mind wonders, God, why? You should have done this. God, did you at some point feel betrayed by God, and how did you overcome that feeling? Because this is real stuff we're talking about here. It's not something we read in a book. This is you. This is your life. This is what you felt. You use whatever word it is. I'm sure everyone listening to you will really understand, because I can feel your pain at the moment. So how did you feel betrayed by God, and how did you overcome the feeling?
Not at all. I didn't feel betrayed by God. Actually, when I go through tough time and storms in my life, that's actually the time I feel okay now. Like if at all I haven't been paying attention, or if I haven't, that's actually when I become closer. That's actually when I lean more and depend on Him more. And I was brought up a Christian, and I do have a relationship with God. I know that I'm not in a position to question Him. Otherwise, I probably would have told Him I would like to be born on this certain day of the year, or maybe this is what I would like, and things like that. But I didn't question God, and I did not feel betrayed by Him, though I was much more dependent. Like I just needed to connect with Him. I really just wanted to feel Him because I felt He was the only one that could feel me. And I really wanted to just have that feeling that, yeah, I can connect. I can really feel His arm on my shoulder. I can feel His arms around me. That was what I was just holding on to and thinking. I didn't have, maybe there were questions, but He knows the best for me. I didn't let myself think in that way. So that's actually not the approach I take to issues, to asking questions. Why did you let no? I don't really usually go that route. So my mind didn't go that way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If I may ask, this happened how many years ago?
It's gonna be 3 years next month. He passed away August 13th, 2019.
Wow.
So
Wow.
by next month it's gonna be 3 years.
Wow. Somebody called Okwe Akin Salami, says, yeah, I was there with them to see him. Very hard and painful moment. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much for being one of her support group.
That's
Or
my
being
very
on her
close
support.
friend. When we
Oh,
got to Nigeria, we stayed at her place, even though we hadn't seen each other for so long. We've been primary school friends from primary one. We
wow.
grew up together, and she was so accommodating and understanding. And
Mm,
I think that's probably because she's in a ministry. She does have a ministry that helps out widows,
wow.
because her mom was also widowed at an
Mm,
early age. So she
mm,
knew what her mom was going through while she was growing up, and she was there for us. She's still there, like a family.
yeah.
It didn't even matter that we had not seen each other for so long. So we stayed over at her place. She understood. She was so patient.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless you. Bless you. Thank you very much for being there. I'm sure we're going to be talking about support system later, because I can imagine how people who don't want us to share with people. We'll get to that. So we talk about the support group. My next question is no, not this one. So, how are you coping with the new norm? It's just barely 3 years, and I know a lot of what has gone under the bridge, like they say. How are you coping?
Yeah, that's a term people use after COVID, since COVID, the new norm. But in
No,
this instance, I believe you're speaking about the new norm of,
of
post-
yes,
yeah,
of after after the loss. Yes, yes.
yeah. So in my experience, it's almost like God gave me the chance to train ahead. When things happen to us or we're going through a phase in our lives, we don't really realize why we're going through it, or maybe what the purpose is. So now looking back, I say God made it possible. He brought me over to Canada earlier on, and I was with the kids for quite some time. And this happened. It's like he puts me in training, kind of. Even though mentally, he was there to support us from there, and he could speak with the children if I had anything or any issue like that. So, well, with the new norm, I still get to do stuff by myself. I miss the fact that when I'm upset, I can call him, and he's the one. He's the first person that my mind would just come to just talk. Like if I get a parking ticket on the street, 2 consecutive months for not changing my side, I call him and he tries to console me, telling me stuff to make me feel better. But now I can't do that anymore. So, and then I get to do stuff with the children without having to ask for advice. Sometimes you're not sure if you're doing things right or not. So you normally want to run it by your partner. And I miss that a lot. And also some of my personal attitude, like maybe some things that I do, that how I feel sometimes, that is there to just notice it and just say things and do things that will make you feel better and stuff. You miss that, because normally if you're in the same house or this person knows you so well, but you don't get to have that anymore. The support with the children, support with your own person, your career. It was my number one fan as well. As far as he was someone that was supported to go to any length. He had no reservation or any excuse to stop his wife from growing, in whatever they have chosen. Doesn't matter, even if you're going way higher than, he's not one of those doesn't have that kind of mindset to stop you or stall you. So I miss all of that. I miss even just looking at that picture right now. The companionship, ability to just talk. I miss someone waking me up early in the. Okay, I don't go to bed early because he wakes up so early. Then we chat and talk. I miss my phone ringing anytime, any day. I miss calling him and telling him as soon as something happens, even if he's in a call or in a meeting, he would pick my call. Whatever that meeting is, the people around him knows that his family is not with him, and Bosun will take his call, his wife or his children's call anytime. They know that he would walk out of the meeting, and I miss all of that. Just somebody to share with and talk with, someone that you can say your personal person. I miss that a lot about him. I miss a whole lot more for sure.
Yeah. Well, I can see, you're looking radiant, and I'm sure you've come out. I'm not sure I'm not asking the right question, actually. Yes, I know it's still there, but you're not beating yourself up you're not hiding away and still thinking about it. You're thinking, I'm thinking you're thinking, how would he want you to be feeling at this moment? And I'm sure
Exactly.
that has pulled you through. How would, if he had the chance to speak to you now, what would he be telling you? So I'm sure you've picked yourself up from that stage of mourning and all of that, and you've come to a stage in life now where you're like, okay, if he was actually here, I'm sure he'll be telling me, no, you can't keep sleeping on the bed and thinking, wishing me to be here. You need to go ahead and do this, do that. And I guess when people come to that terms with that, it helps them to come out of depression, because I know so many people go down and down they go till they eventually lose it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you've come out of it smiling with us today. Thank you very much for sharing your story. Thank you to those who are online, who are watching, who are listening, who are writing comments. I am so glad I can see some names here that I recognize, and the ones I don't. Thank you very much for being here with us. It's a time for you to please ask questions. Ask Mrs. Olatibosu Banjo some questions that you want to know. I know we're taking some of the questions bit by bit, but if you've got any questions, please do write in the comments, and it will be shown on the screen. Another question for you is, what what would be your advice to family and friends of people who get bereaved?
My advice would be, if you have a close person or a loved one who has lost someone and is grieving, just be there for them, to support them, not necessarily in words, but let them know, let them feel you, that you are there if they do need to talk. It's very important. Even though we live in winter, myself and my kids live in winter, we do not have family here, blood related family. But I would say the friends we have here have become our family. And it's very important. Thank God, I'm so grateful for the fact that I have people here who have become family, because that really helped us through the tough time. So it's very important, for you to be there and letting them realize that you're there to support them, and your ears are ready anytime they want to talk. That's important. So they know, at least when I call on this person to talk, it's not like I'm bothering this person, because they've already given an open invite. Don't assume that they would know. You need to let them know that if they want to talk, they can call you, they can talk to you if they feel up to it, or when they get to that point that they can, sometimes it's not because you want to hear them say anything to you. It's just because you just want to like talk and feel better, just empty and say things out. Because sometimes when I get the chance, which is one of the things Boson's ears were for, when I get the chance to just say things out and I rant and just point out like that, I'm not even waiting for you to talk to me or give me any talk back. By the time I'm done, I feel better. So that might just be the situation. Like we were talking prior the meeting started, it could be therapeutic just to say things out, which is the same thing the counselors do as well. They just listen to you. So I would say let them know you're available, by your by being supportive. Your prayers as well. They need your prayers. Praying for them at that point, because there are times one cannot pray for oneself. Like you don't even know what to pray about. You're just there, just at the feet of Jesus, just knowing that he can feel you and he knows your mind. You don't know what words to altar. Many times when I'm really, really feeling filled or upset or something, when I'm trying to pray, I may not even really know what to say. Or when I start with words, I end up at the end of the day not really saying anything. It stops after a while, and that's when I really know that I'm really seeking and just looking forward to that feel, that touch of comfort. So let them feel your prayers working for them. That is also very important. And of course, at the initial stage, they might, like for instance, for me as a woman, I may not feel like cooking, probably because I don't even feel like eating. Because I know for a few months after, all I did was tea. I took tea for like probably like 3 months or 4 months. That was all that made sense, and I could take. That was real food. And because I didn't feel like eating, I might not really feel up to cooking. Even if I felt like eating, I still might not feel like cooking. So if you could support also in that area, that also is a great thing. And I had people around me that were willing to do all of that. I had my church members who were really, really supportive. So just let them know that you're there in whatever capacity they need you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. Those are practical things you said. Being a listening ear, giving a listening ear to people who have just been bereaved. Practical things like helping with cooking, with washing, just being there for them, because this is the time. Well, that is the time people are needed most. You mentioned something about the church people were there. I'm just wondering, how about people who don't have a church or who don't have any support system around them? What would you be telling people at this moment? So because this program is about creating awareness. Nobody, there are people will be like, oh, just me and my husband alone. No, well, yeah, no third party and all of that, but they don't belong to any community, no society, no nothing. And if something happens, it's hard to cope, isn't it? So what would be your advice to people who are still in that kind of thinking that just me and my family alone on earth, even not even external families should come near us? What
Yeah.
would be your advice?
Yeah. So having moved to away from Nigeria where my family is, one thing I realized very quickly was to build a support system for myself, because I knew I was going to need it, especially because my husband wasn't here at the initial stage. He wasn't here with us then when we first moved. So I knew with children, even if you're the only person, they said no man is an island. I was going to need support here and there. So we have friends I have different groups of people. I have group from church, my church family. We have friends that have become families. I have my work colleagues, because I probably spend more wake hours, or when I'm awake, more hours at work than we spend at home with our children or family. When I come home, we spend a couple of hours before we go to bed, right? And then I also have we have the community. We have the Nigerian community and several other communities that exist at the location where we are. Apart from the Nigerian community, there's also the community of the location where you stay, maybe the town or the area, like my neighbors or something like that. That might not be so deep, but the Nigerian, like where I work, is a place where people get to see me, and the Nigerians that come to the bank and know me, just the fact that we had just client customer well, a bank customer relationship or something, but so many of them ended up turning up at my house. One tells the other and all of that. And then, of course, through the Nigerian community, I suppose. I just didn't know how they got to find out, but I realized so many of the people that I met at the bank who were Nigerians, they actually came over to for months after what happened. They got to know, and they didn't pretend like they didn't know. They didn't have to come, whether they came or not. It's no big. Like I wouldn't have felt anyhow or feel offended, but they did come. So I would advise that wherever we are, it's important for us to have that support system in place, especially for those who do not have family at location. But there's a place for family. There's also a place for friends. Like now, I'm enjoying the benefits of having friends. Otherwise, this place would have been so frustrating and all of that. But it's very important to surround ourselves with people. And one thing with me is not really like I'm always with people. There are times I don't even really want to be with people or talk with people or relate with it. I just want to be. But when we respect one another as individuals, we give each other that space, you know, we know the boundaries. And I have really close friends who do know, even when I'm not talking to them, they just know that maybe it's the downtime, is the time that I do. And when I'm ready, I'll come out again and I'm all over, like I'm coming over, and you coming over, or something like that. So there are people around me like that who are who sense, you know, they understand when. So surrounding ourselves with people doesn't really mean we must always see people. People must always, not necessarily, but when you do need them, they are there. And when they also need you, it's reciprocal. We're there for each other, for one another.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for answering that question. Thanks to those who are online. I can see so many beautiful names I recognize. Thank you, Ma. Mommy Amokende, she was my lecturer, and she also passed through this when the children. So remember, we went to a Bible study in our house when I was at College of Education at Coca, and that was where I met the family. Then the husband was still around, and shortly after, then I just heard the sad news too. And so she's asking a question. So she knows what the answer is, but she's asking a question. Were there insinuations or accusations from some friends and family as to likely cause of death?
Okay, well, nobody's in a position to ask that question as far as I'm concerned. Even if anyone had insinuated or asked me directly, it wouldn't bother me because I'm not in a position to know as well. You know, I'm human. I would just say I am so grateful for the fact that in my situation, my husband did not pass away while in Canada, because then you would have had to face the family and probably have to explain things, how this happened, or that. But the truth is, we all were not there. They were not there. I wasn't there. So that left it kind of open. I know in some other people's situation, there may be need for them to answer questions, you know.
Yeah.
But in this case, maybe there were not. Even if it was brought to my attention, I just feel I owe no one such explanation. I think the person who would have answers to the cause would be God, you know.
Yes.
But of course, it's important to know when someone passes away to have an idea of what the cause of death is, which the postmortem normally provides, just so you can guard against if it's something medical that could be prevented or something. But as it were, my husband wasn't really he had no known medical condition prior to that. He wasn't being treated for anything. I just take it, like I said, I didn't have questions. I never asked God questions like that. I believe it was his time and he left. Just like when it's time for us to be born, we have no idea. We just get born to our parents. Some don't get born right, but it is time to go. So sometimes an accident happens. There are several people in the car. One or two goes, others leave, or others, everybody dies, one person is left. It's the same kind of situation. It was his time to go, and that's the way I take it, and I didn't have to answer anyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I know there could be some sensitive questions. I may not bring up all the questions on the screen if I don't feel comfortable with it, but there's this other question that says, how long did you stay away from work before resumption?
Okay. That's a nice one, because people get to wonder when issues like that happen, what do you do? I think it should be as long as you need to, especially in this day and age of mental awareness. Personally, when it happened, we traveled same week to Nigeria for the funeral, and we got back right after because there wasn't any need for me to stay so long at that point. I probably wouldn't have been useful per se. I wouldn't be in the right frame of mind to handle anything. So I wanted to come home and grieve. And as far as I'm concerned, this is where we live. This is where my kids are with me. It is where your loved ones are. That is home. So I wanted to feel the comfort of being at home while I grieve. So that was what we did. Also, the kids were back in school. A new school year had just started. So they went back to school. And I also thought for myself that I think being amidst people and working would take my mind off, because one could feel like running crazy, like it would be like you're running crazy if you're at home and thinking so much or something. But it's not the same for everyone. So I went back to work right after. I think I was home for 2 days or so after we got back, and then I went to work. But that was a personal decision because I had a blanket leave to be away from work for as long as I needed. But I thought otherwise, that being in the midst of people. So I went back to work right after. And then I think a week or two after, I didn't feel so okay. I took time off. I came home again for like a week. And then we got back first week in September, I think. I went to work. In November, I took like a week or two and then went back to work. And then the whole of December, I was away from work. So people stay away from work. This is, I guess, in Canada, things are more flexible. You don't have the employers breathing down your neck, especially when it's not a privately owned business or one-man business or so. So um, it was I could stay home for like 3 4 5 months or whenever it is that I feel I'm done grieving. I think I can relate with people and I can handle situations. Even while I was going to work, there were times I get up. In fact, there were times I cry right on my seat. So not to embarrass the client, I could go to the washroom. My manager was always watching out for me, looking for me. If she doesn't find me on stage, she will find me in the bathroom sometimes or in the washroom sometimes and things like that. So I had people that were really trying to support me, even as I was trying to leave and do regular, come back to doing regular things. So after that December, I went back to work in January. And since then, I've been, but then, of course, there are times because when you need to be conscious of your mental responses, kind of, like the way you're reacting to if you think you need time off, take it off, do whatever you need to do to get better. If you need to just listen to music, if you need to just sit somewhere, there's the favorite thing I do. I go to the riverside. We have a beautiful riverside here. I take walks, I sit down. It just kind of help me to connect with nature and be lighter. I enjoy that a lot and it's helpful. And there are other things people do to make themselves feel better when they're in such situations. So staying away from work wasn't a fixed time. I think it has to do with individuals and how you feel at that point.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Exactly. And we're grateful for countries where they are sensitive to mental well-being of people. They're not just about, oh, we have to get this money, we have to make this money, so we'll replace you until they're so selfish, I'll say. So I'm glad that you're in an environment where they're sensitive to mental well-being and how you could cope with situations. I don't know if there are policies for those living outside Canada. Are there different policies about how long it takes for people? I mean, how much leave people are given? I know there's compassionate leave here in the UK, and just until you're ready, that's when you can come back in. And so glad it works like that outside the country, but in Nigeria, I don't know how it works. Is there a specific timing, or do they leave it like a blank check and you decide? If you know, please send us comments on the screen. I know this is not the final question because there's still one more question I think is going to spring out from this answer of at what point do you think the bereaved need to move on? At one point.
Okay. I can't say there's a particular point because individuals are different.
Yeah.
So it's up to that person. I can only say for me, I don't see that point yet. It's still faded, like it's not clear yet. Possibly there's so much dust on it. Maybe eventually it could get dusted and I can see the point. But right now I don't see that point. It may come, it may not come. So it's not really something I can put a timeline to say this is a particular time for the person to move on. But I do know as you heal, when you've grieved well, and as you heal, the point is you should start living. When I think about what Bosun would want, I know Bosun would, in fact, that's once I, what would he want? What would he say? Once I remember that, it helps me sometimes to know what to do.
Wow.
So I know he would want me to, I know for sure he would want me to live. He would want me to live well. So even my kids, I tell them, daddy would win, even if we don't feel like it, well, even if we feel down. But if he was here, this is what we'll be doing. Let's do it. This is what he would have wanted, Around his anniversary, is summertime, which is holiday vacationing time and all of that. 2020, we didn't do much because there was COVID. But last year, myself and the kids actually took vacation around that time. And we went on that day, we went to the specific place, a place we've been with him before, Niagara Falls. And for us, that was intentional. We've been with him before, and we were able to, just all four of us, just walking and talking about the time we had before when he was there, just remembering it was Christmas time, we went there with him, just remembering that and talking about it and things this person said and that person said. And we were there for a couple of hours. And by the time we left, I'm sure we all felt better, just, reliving the memories and talking about him. That was what we did on his anniversary last year. So I believe living is a point that I would say as soon as possible. As per probably remarrying or something like that, I don't know. I think that is different for each person. And maybe when that becomes clearer, then the person should just go for it if it's what makes them happy.
Wow. Thank you. I've actually, I was thinking I wasn't going to ask this. I was going to ask this last, but I'm glad you mentioned it, that when people come out on the other end and they've overcome the whole stress of the whole situation and they're now leaving, then they can go ahead to do whatever they're comfortable doing. So thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of this discussion. I don't know if anyone here has anything to say. I can see comments from Tola Umo saying, "It is well with you. God will always be faithful to all his promises. Lots of love." And then Mommy Amo kind of says there's no specific timing in Nigeria as to when people go back to work. Someone called Tim Tokwe Esson says, all is well with you, Sister Kemi. God is your strength. Well done, Sister Bumi. Okay, thank you very much. I am so glad that people are, connected to this. Please share with someone. I'm sure there's someone who would need to hear this. Someone who will need to hear this. Someone, someone, that knows someone that knows someone. Share the link, like the video, and let us get it on a stage where even YouTube recommends it to other people, because people need to hear these things. We all need to hear these things, and prepare our minds. So it as well. Akinde Bukola says it as well. To God be the glory for being there for you. And Akin Salami says, be the listening ears. Yes, let us be the listening ears. So as we round up, because there are no more questions, just for like 2 minutes, are there any last words you want to tell people? I can hear the joyful noise in the background. So that's a sign that the boys are getting on, and they're
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm actually in my office space and the door is closed, but when he's playing that game, he's always so loud speaking with his friends. So that's Michael, my youngest son. He's very loud. Thank you. My last words would be for a grieving person, and I actually have a friend who has just recently lost her husband too. And I feel her and everyone who has lost someone or who is grieving. I would want to encourage you that be strong, and I pray God will strengthen you because you need it. You do need that strength from above. You may not know where that strength is coming from, but when you experience it, you would know that this could only have been God. I would also want to say, while you're grieving, if there's anything you feel like doing that could make you feel better, do it. If you feel like watching movies, if you feel like taking walks, if you feel like running to let out whatever it is, do it. For me, prayers, music, listening to podcasts. There's a podcast I would recommend. Everything in it might not be useful to might not be applicable to you or useful, but I listened to it and I found it to be really, really nice. The Widowed Mom podcast, Christine Saint Germain. That's the name of the lady. I found it about maybe 5 months ago or 4 months ago, and I've been listening, and she has several episodes. So that's something I could recommend for a woman who has lost a spouse or something like that. So then getting the kids engaged. Let's not forget our children, especially if children are involved and it's the loss of a spouse. We need to get them engaged. We need to also give them support while they also grieve. They could grieve in different ways. People respond to situations in different ways. That's one of the tough things one has had to do. Just watching your child and the way they are going through this situation, and you not even understanding how you can be of help. But the same way, let them know that you're there. If they want to talk, if they want to write it, journaling, if they want to, oh yeah, that's the podcast, that's the lady. Thank you for bringing that up. So if they want to write about it, because your kids might not want to talk to you at that point, they might not feel like talking. Some of them might want to just withdraw altogether. But whatever it is they've chosen to do, or however it is they've chosen to grieve, just let them know you're there to support them, and let them really feel it, and of course, be there for them. And it could take time. It takes different time. Some people could say, even as it is almost 3 years, I still feel I don't know if it will ever go away. I remember I was really looking forward to it going away. Like, when am I going to feel better? When am I really do want to feel better, like right now. But it takes time. But the truth is, it gets better every day. It feels better every day. So that those are the things I would say. And then, in our children or anyone that is grieving, let's watch out for their mental and emotional state, their health state, because sometimes you don't pay so much attention, and some other health situation could arise from it. So we need to pay attention to our health, and also financial thermometer, like I call it. When that happened, knowing that income has reduced, is just one source. I had to do a review of my expenses. I did a review of my spendings, and I didn't make any immediate big purchase right around that time. I waited just to have a clearer picture of what it all looked like, and I could make adjustments as was necessary. So those are the things I would want to add. I want you to know that you're not alone in this. The people around you will be willing to support and hear, but if you're ready to speak with them, or to let them, and anyone can be vulnerable. So I pray the Lord would comfort everyone that is grieving, and it would give you strength to go through this. Thank you so much, Sabuni, for having me. I really appreciate this. This is the very first time I'm actually talking uh, openly, like publicly, not just with my friends. But I've always talked about my husband. I love to talk about him. I talk about him almost as if he's just somewhere, maybe like in Nigeria or somewhere. Like, I see his pictures, I look at him. I'm not afraid to do that. I love to do that because it makes me feel lighter and not feel like I don't want him to disappear. I don't want him to be forgotten. So we talk about him, we reference him, we look at his pictures. Not all of us do. Some of my kids are that's not the way they handle it. So, but those of us who feel comfortable about it, we just about him all the time. And I don't forget to mention to my kids too, if I see something they do that is very much like their father, I say it. I mention it very much. That's what your dad does, or that's how, or something like that. So we should keep the memory of the person that has passed.
Yeah, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Wow, you've loaded us with so much. Thank you for that information. And that this is all about creating awareness, so that we're not at the point of I don't know what to do, or I don't know who to talk to, I don't know where to go. But this is someone who has been through it, and we have a lot of people online who have also been through it, that are hanging on there, and they have their own testimonies. And so thank you very much for making yourself available to and adding value to your world, through this interview. um Finally, I'll just read what Dr. Amokende says. She says, Kemi, remain focused and keep trusting God. All the children will turn out right. By next year, it will be 25 years of widowhood and still enjoying God's grace. That's a wrap as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much, ma, for that comment, it makes a lot of sense. People have been through it, they've gone through it, and their children turned out well, and so shall it be for you. I don't know if you want to. I know there are people who are facing this at the moment, who have just been bereaved, like with our friend. God bless you, my sister Folakia Olajide. We recognize this period of your life as well. And like you said, the period requires total submission to God. So thank you for being strong. Thank you for being strong, because we need to be strong for our children when it happens, and all of that. So thank you for sharing this with us. Would you like to pray for people who are going through this? Is it all right?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Let us pray. Everlasting Father, we thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for the grace that you've given us to have this meeting and this opportunity for this interview. I'm grateful to you because it's been by your grace and your mercy. You've been my sustenance. You've been my all in all. You've been everything. You've been my comfort, oh God. And I remember your word that you'd always be there for me and you'll carry me. And Lord, I pray for everyone that is listening, that is grieving, who has lost someone close to them or a spouse. Lord, I pray that you will carry them, that you'll be there for them. Let them experience your presence every step of the way. Let them feel your comforting arms around them, oh God. And Lord, I pray that even when they are confused, I pray that you give them clarity and help them, oh God, to heal. I pray, Lord King of Glory, that they would experience your healing. Thank you for all you have done. Thank you for all you're doing. We are grateful to you for being there for us. We appreciate you, Lord. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. And so we've heard the female version of how a spouse will cope, and we've had a male version. If you've not watched it, it's there on the YouTube channel. Someone who has lost a partner in a male's understanding. I mean, a male's experience, a man's experience of being a widower. And so please watch it and let's share to people. Thank you very much once again. I am so proud of you that you have been so strong. You've been strong for your family. And please, I'm saying it again publicly, if you need listening ears, I am here. Just call me middle of the night. I know we have time difference and all that, but please, I will make myself available. I have learned that from you now, that we need to purposely, intentionally be the listening here to people when they need to talk. So thank you very much for.
Thank you so much, Staboni, for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And love to the boys.
For sure. I'll tell them.
So thank you, viewers. You've heard it all. You've heard it all. And please, let's add value to our world. Let's be a supporter. Let's be a support system to someone. We all have different issues we're facing, but some people need us more. Let's be there for them, and Jesus will be happy with it. And if you're not in the Jesus group, whatever group you're in, whatever community, whatever religion, we should be there for ourselves, because that's what we do as humans. We are social beings. Thank you very much for listening. And I hope you like this video. I hope you share it. I hope you subscribe as well, so that we can take this to as many that need to hear about it. Thank you very much for all those who have commented, who have liked, who have sent their comments on the screen. I really appreciate you for being here. Till next time, I'll come your way. Bye-bye.